Okay, Mayweather versus Canelo is a fight that a lot of people are talking about. They're calling it the one. It's caused a lot of talk over a lot of internet chat rooms and forums and Twitter, all over. So it's definitely got the interest, and it's the fight that everybody wants to see. For now, Canelo's one of those guys that people say, oh, who's next? Who can Floyd fight next? Oh yeah, this Canelo. Then fight Canelo. So now, let's see this Canelo guy. Let's look at him. Yeah, he's unbeaten. His first legitimate fighter he faced in terms of his weight division was Austin Trout. And I've got to be honest with you, I can't say that he looked impressive against Austin Trout at all. He fought in spurts, and if you go back on that fight and look at that fight, if I would just say to you, what was the best thing Canelo did in that fight? The best thing Canelo did in that fight was that straight right hand he landed on Trout's chin, and Trout went over. That's the best thing Canelo did in that fight. He threw little short punches, little flurries, and then backed out. That's it. But Canelo's a guy that takes his time and throws his punches in combinations, yes, but short bursts. Canelo is not a guy that fights the whole 3 minutes of every round, and he's flat-footed. And yes, he moves his head from side to side a little bit, but I don't really see him as really a technical fighter or technical boxer. I see more of a puncher boxer. I don't know. I don't think he's got that great skill level. That's what I'm trying to say to you. I think he's physically very strong. I question his punch power, because apart from, yes, he had Trout down, but he's not a devastating one-punch knockout artist, is Canelo. And when you're fighting against a guy like Floyd Mayweather, why are people thinking that Canelo can beat him? Is it the pressure? Well, 44 tried of bringing this pressure tactic, 44 failed. Well, is it strength? Is he going to try out bully Floyd on the night? Well, that's only an assumption that Canelo is stronger than Floyd Mayweather. You would think, yeah, Canelo fights a light middle. Yeah, he's definitely stronger. But if it's a catchweight bout, is Canelo going to be naturally as strong? That's just an assumption. People have this assumption that Floyd Mayweather is his weakling. Now, I'm sure that Floyd spars with middleweights and super middleweights. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he takes heavier punches than what he does in actually these big fights. I'm sure he does. I think Floyd Mayweather is tough. And I don't think Canelo's got great footwork. People say, oh, well, he's fought X amount of times and he's a world champion. He must be doing something right. Yeah, well, of course, he's been well managed. He's been well managed, right? Canelo's been well managed. Where you look at Floyd's career, it wasn't about Floyd. If you look at Floyd fought the WBC all the time. He fought for the WBC belt all the time, right? So he wasn't well managed. He fought the best that was around. People say, oh, well, he ducked this person, he ducked that person. I don't even duck people, because now he's fighting Canelo. People say he tried to duck Canelo. My point is this, right? And I'm going to make it quite brief. I believe that experience, you can't buy experience. And there's nothing that Canelo brings to Floyd Mayweather that he hasn't seen before. But believe you me, there's nobody in Canelo's career, nobody has come close to fight anywhere near the way Floyd Mayweather fights. He's fighting a guy now. Canelo's best chance of beating Floyd Mayweather was before Floyd's father came back into the camp, because Floyd wasn't moving as much and Floyd was giving you more of an opportunity to hit him. Okay? You're thinking guys like Guerrero, who's had multiple weight world champion, Diego Corrales, good fighter. Sugar Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton. You know, all these guys, we just go through the list of guys that Zab Judah, that Floyd Mayweather's fought and has beaten. He's fought with different sorts of styles and found a way of coming across and beating them. Miguel Cotto. So, Floyd's got the experience. And I don't see how Canelo wins the fight. He's not technically a better boxer than Floyd. He's not a better counterpuncher than Floyd. He's not got better footwork than Floyd. He's not got a better straight right hand than Floyd. He doesn't do shoulder roll better than Floyd. I mean, Canelo is well marketed. That's it. He's well marketed. And as far as I'm concerned, he's been just put into the slaughterhouse. He's been sent to slaughter. It's like this. It's as simple as this. Look, you won your world title. We need to start making some money back on you. And if you get beat by Floyd Mayweather, fine. You get beat by Floyd Mayweather. You get beat by, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world and the best fighter in your generation. So what? You get beat by him. Who doesn't get beat by Floyd Mayweather? But if you win against Floyd Mayweather, wow. And that's the way I think Golden Boy and Canelo have taken this fight. Why do you want to get beat by lesser opposition? Or take a chance of getting beat by lesser opposition? Because Canelo doesn't look invincible. The Trout fight will tell you that. He doesn't look invincible. And I don't know what the excuses are for Canelo not having a higher work rate, starting slowly. But when Canelo decides not to work, Floyd's going to pop him in that straight right hand. Boom, all the time. You see, go boom, boom, all the time. Because people are not getting the message. And Oscar De La Hoya, you want to take advice from Oscar De La Hoya? Oscar De La Hoya lost to Floyd Mayweather. Oscar De La Hoya can't even stick to a game plan. Oscar De La Hoya was told to use the jab and throw quick combinations against Floyd when he's against the ropes and try and outpoint him. Oscar De La Hoya couldn't do that for 12 rounds. He started running out of steam and then Floyd started picking him apart. And you saw what happened at the end of the fight. Yes, it was a close fight. Floyd still won. So who's Oscar to say something? I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, the poor lad, by the time Canelo gets in the ring, he's going to have about 25 game plans. And he'll probably forget what his game plan is. Because Mosley's going to tell him something. De La Hoya's going to tell him something. The Mexican community are going to tell him something. So if that poor boy's head ain't straightened before... And then he's got to deal with the Mayweather talking to him. He's a young lad, right? How is he going to deal with Mayweather and his antics? And there will be antics. Mayweather's going to try and get inside of Canelo's head. I don't think Canelo's ready for Mayweather, personally. I really don't. I think he's inexperienced at fighting at that level, right? There is Austin Trout, and then there's Floyd Mayweather, and there's really no in between. I would like to see Canelo take 3 or 4 meaningful fights, real meaningful fights, and then consider fighting Floyd Mayweather. But, like I said, there's always the possibility of, there's always a chance Floyd, or that Canelo got beat by somebody lesser than Floyd. So, for me, this fight is gonna be about what Floyd allows Canelo to do to him. Is Floyd gonna stand in the middle of the ring against Canelo? Let's put it this way: if Canelo's punches can't hurt Floyd Mayweather and he can't put the fear of God of him in the first couple of rounds, it's gonna be easy night's work. Really is. But I see Floyd Mayweather in this fight outpointing, outmaneuvering, outspeeding Canelo, bamboozling him to a points win. Canelo may have his moments, just like Guerrero had his moments. Very few and far between, because Canelo's going to have one game plan, and he'll fight that game plan well. Floyd's going to have 3 or 4 game plans, and he does them exceptionally well. If Canelo can't hurt Floyd, Floyd's going to come forward. If Canelo tries to rush Floyd, Floyd's going to counter him. If Canelo decides to go on the back foot and try to play counter punching, Floyd's got faster hands. I don't see how Canelo wins this fight. I really don't. But if you can tell me how technically he wins this fight, I don't even think Canelo is. I don't think Canelo can out hustle Floyd either. Really don't. Really don't. I think, like I said, someone like to beat Floyd, you have to look to outpoint him, not to out knock him out. Get in, throw fast flurries, get out, move to the sides. Don't stick about. Do your work, get out. Do your work, get out. Get to the sides. And when he starts to trying to do his work, try and tie him up. Frustrate him. Don't let him do his work. But okay, those are my thoughts. You've probably heard them all before. For this fight, I see Mayweather unanimous points decision, and then people will be telling us that Canelo was weight drained, and Canelo was never that good anyway. Who'd he fought apart from Muscle Trout? And you start to hear all the excuses, and yeah. Then you have something ludicrous like Floyd should fight Martinez. Floyd should move up and fight Andre Ward. Floyd should take a catchweight fight against GGG. People are just looking. These are not boxing fans. These are people that just don't like Floyd. Just want to see him get beat. That's it. Not the fact that they appreciate his skill level. So, alright. I think I've exhausted the Canelo Floyd Mayweather, and yes, I've just said it. Floyd Mayweather unanimous points decision.